Hi, this tutorial is about using tables and table tools. I hope to show you enough to get you to the point where you can build a table like this one here. One thing you need to notice when you're working in Microsoft Word, if you're clicked outside the table, you don't see any table tools, but as soon as you click inside a table, there's a special toolbar that shows up. Table Tools toolbar, it has two elements, a design and a layout element. Walking through the layout tab quickly. Set of ribbons through here. In order to work with the table, you could go to the insert menu, go to table button, and either use the table properties dialog, or just pick the actual insert button with a drag and drop to put in your table. This is the table properties dialog box. It allows you to set your table width, your row height, your column width, your cell height and width, which will actually then affect the column and row width for that particular cell. It allows you to set your text wrapping around your table. It allows you to set whether your table is going to be aligned left, right, or center in your document. And there's a special button over here in the corner, the options here, which will allow you to set your cell padding. If you will look further along the layout tab, you're going to see some of the controls for adding, removing columns, and for merging and splitting cells. And then at the back end of the ribbon, you have an alignment tab, and this will allow you to set your contents of the cell, either from the top left down to the bottom right, and various forms of that, including center. And then you have the data ribbon, which allows you to sort data inside a table according to a column. And also, the last little button here is to put in some very basic formulas. There's also that repeat header row, which allows you to repeat the same information in the first row of a table onto the tables if they break over multiple pages. That way you don't have to scroll to the first page every time. In the table design tab, notice again there's the yellow tab for the table tools. The design tab has some options as far as setting a banding and header row and row sums or total row. It has a whole bunch of buttons that allow you to apply a pre-formatted style to a table. And then on the back end, it has some drawing tools to allow you to modify the table. And I find that these tools here, the erase and the draw, are really handy for merging or splitting cells, as well as applying various types of borders to a table. And that's about all I'm going to show you in as far as explaining what's going on. I'm going to move on to trying to build this sort of table here. This is a miniature version of what you saw earlier, and it's a large table that's split over top of 2 pages. It has a repeated header row. It has banded columns and rows. It has a total row at the back end of it. It has some merged cells. I'll show you how to split a cell. I use some of the cell alignment things here, and I use the draw tool to change the borders on one of the cells. So I'll get rid of this, and there's what we hope to produce. And notice also that there's some alignment for changes for the text there. So I'll start with a new file, blank document, create, insert, table. I'm going to use a dialog because I want 3 columns and 22 rows. and click OK. I had resized my rows so that the first two rows were half the first two columns were half the size of the third column. If you grab the handle on the top and you hold Alt on the keyboard, you can see the size of your columns. I'm going to grab the first column and I'm going to pull it down to about 1 inch. And then I'm going to go into the table properties, so you can set that way. I'm also going to go into the table properties and show you how to set a column width. We're looking at the first column right now. If I go to the next column, this will be column 2. The previous column was 1.19, and I'm going to set this one down to 1.2. In the previous column, I'll bring it up to 1.2. The last column, I want double, so I'll bring it up to 2.4. I am going to also show you here quickly how to size the rows. So you say row, you can specify your height here, at least or exactly. I'll just bring it up to about 0.4 inches, and that should be pretty close to breaking or getting it maybe a little bit more yet to get that table to break over the 2 pages. So there we go. That's big enough to make that happen. I am on my Table Tools toolbar. I'm on the Design tab. I want a design that's going to give me a first row. So our first row that I can repeat as a header. I want a total, and I want to see banded columns and rows. So I'm just going to expand this out and find something in here that looks something like what I want for coloring. Maybe I'll try this one. And then I'm going to pick my table. It has a header row built into it. I want a total row. And I want to see banded columns. And then I'm going to go over into my layout table, and I'm going to set repeat first rows, and then we'll see what happens with that. So this is column 1. I'm just going to put some text in here. That's column 2, column 3, and this one I'll just leave alone. This one here I'm going to play with the alignment. The text direction is a toggle. You can see as you position it, and I won't play with the cell margins here. So I get one set one way, one set the other way, and there we go. This header row did not repeat as I wanted it to, so it's probably the design problem that I picked. So let's see if we can pick one a little further down the chart and see if that'll go. Every time you apply a different design, you're going to have to go into the layout and select repeat header rows. And that didn't work. There we go. Don't pick the whole table. Just click repeat header rows, and that'll fix that. This is my total row. It's going to need something to total, so I'll show you how to put in a formula. Let's see if we can find a sum in here. So I wanted to add. And let's see if we can put some numbers above it. It's telling me I have a syntax error because there's nothing to add, I think. So if you were to put the numbers in 10, and you're going to have to use the arrow key to move between the cells. Now we can put in our total, delete what I had there before. Sum above, and there you go. It put in 40. If you change these, I think it'll probably also change. No, it doesn't. So it's not quite like Microsoft Excel, in which the formulas automatically update themselves. That's something to keep in mind. Alright, let's go back to our Design tab, and we have the banded columns in here. I wonder if I take the checkbox off the first column. There we go. That's a little better. Banded rows are in there, so I just wanted one in here. I showed you a area where there was text in between 3 cells. So let's get that right now. I'm going to use the eraser and I'm going to pop out, let's say this one here. You notice a little, I wouldn't say explosion mark, but maybe that might be a way to put it. And that's where the eraser function works. And the text had said something about being in the middle. So I'm just going to type this is in the middle of middle. It's a right click. It's pretty handy too, the shortcut menu when you're working through this. Cell alignment, I want center of center, and there it goes in. As far as combining or merging some other cells, we could set it up like that. Pop out some of these here. And you can just play if you like. And that'll produce that pattern that I had of stuff being gone. The eraser actually does remove the border of the cell. And right now, if you were to look at my layout, you can see that my grid lines are turned on. These dotted lines don't actually print. There's nothing there. So if you really wanted borders on their table, you would need to pick the cells and apply the borders. A way of applying the borders would be to use a draw table button. Work your way down the list. So I want something like this. And I'm going to make it nice and big and heavy and obnoxious. And it was magenta that I had shown earlier. It works off the pencil just like you've seen before, or you'd expect. And as you work through it, it highlights. And there we go. We have produced that area there. Now let's go back to my original document and see if there's anything I missed showing you. I got the white spaces in. I got the center of center. I've got the repeating column heads. I've got the total column. So that should bring this tutorial to an end. Thank you very much for watching. Have a wonderful day.